Welcome back to VeloView, where we dive into the world of classic automobiles and uncover the stories that make them timeless icons. Today, we are traveling back to the year 1960, a year that gave us two cars that could not be more different from each other, yet both hold legendary status in the history of motoring. One is the Jaguar XK150, a British grand tourer with elegance and power, while the other is the Fiat 500, a tiny Italian city car that won hearts not with speed but with simplicity and charm. These two cars reflect the incredible variety of the automotive world in the 1960s, and together they paint a fascinating picture of what driving meant in that era. The Jaguar XK150 was, in many ways, the pinnacle of Jaguar's pre-E-type sports cars. It was the successor to the XK120 and XK140, cars that had already built Jaguar's reputation for speed and beauty, but the XK150 refined the formula. Compared to its predecessors, it had a wider, more modern appearance, with a one-piece curved windscreen and a more substantial grille that gave it a commanding road presence. The flowing lines remained, but the car had a cleaner, more contemporary look that appealed to those who wanted both performance and sophistication. Inside, the Jaguar was nothing short of luxurious for a sports car of its time. Leather seats, polished wood, and an overall sense of craftsmanship greeted the driver. Unlike many sports cars of the era, which sacrificed comfort in pursuit of performance, the XK150 offered both. It was the kind of car you could drive hard on open roads, but also settle into for a long journey across the countryside without feeling exhausted. Performance was always central to the Jaguar's identity. Beneath the bonnet sat the legendary XK inline-six engine. In its 3.4-liter form, it offered strong power, but by 1960, the car could also be had with a 3.8-liter engine producing up to 265 horsepower in the high-performance S model. That was a serious figure for the era and allowed the car to reach a top speed of more than 130 miles per hour. Just as importantly, the XK150 introduced four-wheel disc brakes, something rare at the time and a feature that set it apart from many rivals in terms of safety and stopping power. On the road, it was a machine that felt fast yet composed, thrilling yet manageable. It wasn't as razor-sharp as a pure racing machine, but that wasn't its mission. The XK150 was about delivering performance with grace, about giving the driver the feeling of being both a racer and a gentleman. By 1960, though, the XK150 was nearing the end of its life cycle, soon to be replaced by the legendary E-Type in 1961. Yet it remained significant because it represented the final evolution of the XK series that had defined Jaguar's post-war sports car identity. Collectors today value the XK150 not only for its beauty and performance but for its place as the bridge between the classic early Jaguars and the modern sports cars that followed. And then, from the grandeur of the Jaguar, we shift to something completely different, because Italy at the same moment was celebrating the charm of the Fiat 500. Where the Jaguar represented speed and luxury for the well-off driver, the Fiat 500 was about giving ordinary people the freedom of the road. Launched in 1957, the 500 by 1960 had already cemented itself as a symbol of Italian ingenuity. It was small, affordable, and incredibly practical for the crowded streets of European cities. At just over 9 feet long, it looked almost like a toy compared to the Jaguar, yet its impact on society was enormous. The Fiat 500's design was simplicity itself. With its rounded shape and compact proportions, it looked cheerful, approachable, and friendly. Inside, the car was as basic as possible, offering only the essentials: two simple seats in the front, a rear bench, and a dashboard stripped of unnecessary flourishes. But it was this lack of complexity that made it special. The Fiat 500 wasn't intimidating. It was a car for everyone, designed to be easy to own, easy to drive, and easy to fix. Power came from a tiny rear-mounted two-cylinder engine producing between 17 and 21 horsepower, depending on the model. By modern standards, that is almost nothing, but for its purpose, it was just enough. The lightweight body and efficient design meant the car could reach about 60 miles per hour, which was more than adequate for city driving and short trips. What it lacked in outright speed, it made up for in character. The engine had a distinctive buzz, the handling was nimble thanks to its small size, and driving it felt like an adventure even at modest speeds. It wasn't about racing, it was about freedom and fun. By 1960, the Fiat 500 had become more than just a car, it was a cultural phenomenon. It represented a new era of mobility for families, young couples, and workers across Italy and beyond. It was affordable to buy, cheap to run, and small enough to fit into the tightest city streets. More than that, it carried a personality that made people fall in love with it. Where the Jaguar made you feel glamorous, the Fiat 500 made you smile. And that is why both cars, though completely opposite, are remembered with equal fondness today. Comparing these two cars side by side highlights the extraordinary diversity of the automotive world in 1960. The Jaguar XK150 was built for those who sought luxury and performance, a machine that embodied British craftsmanship and sophistication. The Fiat 500 was built for the masses, a humble yet lovable companion for everyday life, embodying Italian creativity and practicality. They couldn't have been more different, yet both captured the spirit of their nations and their times. The Jaguar's legacy carried forward directly into the E-Type, one of the most famous sports cars ever made, but without the XK150 and the lessons it taught Jaguar about balancing performance and comfort, the E-Type might not have been the success it became. The Fiat 500's influence, meanwhile, spread across the world as the template for small city cars. Its spirit is alive even today in the modern Fiat 500, a car that deliberately echoes the charm of its ancestor while updating it for modern needs. Looking back at 1960 through these two cars, we see how the automobile has always been more than just a means of getting from one place to another. It is a reflection of culture, society, and aspiration. The Jaguar XK150 spoke to dreams of speed, elegance, and status, while the Fiat 500 spoke to dreams of independence, accessibility, and joy. Both fulfilled their missions perfectly, and both continue to inspire admiration decades later. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Jaguar XK150 and the Fiat 500 from 1960, make sure to leave a comment and let me know which of these two legends you would choose if you had the chance to own one. And of course, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to VeloView for more stories about the cars that shaped our world.